Good. As you lie down, just take your hands onto your belly, maybe one on the belly, one upper by the rib cage under the bra line, and just take 3-4 deep breaths. Breathe in a way that will promote a calm and peaceful energy in the body. Taking your time with each breath. One more, just thinking of the nourishing quality of oxygen. Great. Now stretch your arms overhead. Point your toes, reach your fingertips, get really long through your side body and take another deep breath. Good. Release your hands down and bend your right knee into your chest, clasping around that right knee. Pull it in, maybe more to the right armpit. Feel free to circle the right ankle a couple times. Good. Now extend that right leg to the ceiling. Hold on behind your thigh. Make the knee as straight as you can. This time we'll flex our foot and drive the heel straight up to the ceiling. Option 2 on the exhale. Bring your chest and shoulders off the ground. Walk your hands up the right leg. Firming those thighs, both of them if you can. Good. Bend your knee in again. Lower the head down. And this time we're going to cross the right ankle across your left thigh, like a half lotus. So think almost like a tree pose, but the ankle is crossed over. And as your hips stay square on the floor, press that right knee toward the floor. Left leg is still straight. Couple breaths here. And here you can actually use your right glute muscles to drive that right knee toward the floor. Ankle will press into the thigh for one more breath. All right, release the right leg down. Big inhale, arms reach overhead. And bend your left knee in. Same thing, moving the ankle if you want. Now extend that left leg up to the ceiling, flex the foot, lengthening the calf muscle up through the heel. And as an option, exhale, curl head and shoulders off the ground, walk up that left leg, and really feel that length and broadness in your hamstrings. One more breath, bracing that belly in. All right, head comes down, half lotus, left ankle over the right thigh, and press that left knee down. One more breath now. Good. Release both legs next to each other. Now slide your legs, they're still straight, slide them off center over to the right, cross your left ankle across your right, raise your arms overhead, grab your left wrist and also pull it to the right. So you look like a banana. Take 3 breaths here, extending the hip down to the heel and the left ribs up to the shoulder. Get that nice body. After about 3, just switch to the other direction. Go back to center. And let's quickly bend the knees into the chest, rock side to side, or even make some circles with your knees. Good. Now let us grab our block. I'm looking for the block. I'm sitting on it. Okay, so grab your block. So you're still lying on the floor on the back. Put the block between your thighs and step your feet up on the mat like you're going to go into a bridge pose. So knees bent, block between the thighs. Good. Very important. Don't let your spine arch off the ground. So I'd like you to clasp and brace your hands behind your head. Good. Option easy. Keep your feet on the ground. Option harder. Pick up your feet, squeezing the block so your shins are now parallel to the floor. So you're lying on your back, shins parallel, and you're squeezing the block. Be where you need to be. Now on an exhale, lift your head and shoulders off the ground. Think of driving your front ribs down toward your waist. And let's do 15 tiny crunches. 1, the important thing, 2, is you never let go of that tension in your core. So never lie all the way down again. It's about 5, 6, 7, front ribs down to the hips, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, and 15. Awesome. Release your head all the way down. Take the block, move it away, and let's just drop your knees apart, soles of the feet connect, and take a couple deep breaths. Good. And now to finish this, step your feet on the mat, maybe hip width apart, arms out to the sides. You're lying on your back, feet on the mat, and just windshield wiper your knees side to side a few times. Note, the wider you step your feet, the more it's for your hips and the less for your low back. So pick a distance and do about 3 more rounds. Good. All right. Let's finish that. Roll all the way to one side and let's come up to all fours. Good. So spread your fingers and let's go into the arching and rounding. Make sure the neck is a big part of this. So tuck your chin all the way in as you round and lift your chin, stretch your throat on the arching. Good. Neutral spine. Walk your hands forward a couple inches, tuck your toes, push your hips back, and go into downward facing dog. In down dog, notice your neck today, so you want to dread it out and keep your neck nice and long with approximately the ears are about in line with your arms, so the head is neutral. Let yourself sway side to side. Good. Now lift up onto your tiptoes in your down dog and bend your knees a bit. In this bent position, I want you to press your chest toward your thighs, or you can also think low belly presses toward upper thighs. You get a more narrow down dog. Good. You're still on your tiptoes with your knees bent. And now slowly straighten your legs and drive your heels toward the floor. Keep resisting your hands into the earth so the weight shifts. Still is in the heels or toward the heels versus all in the hands. Good job. Come back to all fours. Tuck your toes again. Lower back, so sit back to your heels with an upright torso if possible. If this is too hard, lean forward, but just awaken your feet here. As if you don't need your hands here, rotate the wrists. Good. Very nice. Pat out the feet, so back to all fours, pat it out. And from here, we're going to step the right foot between our hands. Tuck your back toes, lift that back knee. The hands are still framing your front foot. Now lengthen your stance, maybe left heel or left foot wiggles back a bit. Hips are nice and low. And now as you inhale, stretch your right arm to the ceiling with your left hand still on the floor. Now tip, so your right foot is forward, left foot is back. Make your left front hip really light, so don't just dump into that left hip. 2 more breaths. Good, right hand back down and step forward. You're in a standing forward bend, have your feet hip width apart. And again, just extend through the hamstrings, lift your sitting bones, 2 breaths. Maybe sway a little forward on the feet for the last. Good, standing in the center of the feet and come rolling up to standing now at the top of your mat. Arms to the sides, feet hip width. Crown is lifting, tailbone is sinking. On your next inhalation, float the arms all the way up. Grab your left wrist and side bend to the right. Standing up straight, come to center, grab your right wrist, inhale, and side bend to the left. Good, come back to center, release your wrist and swan dive over the legs. Good, bend your knees a little so that your hands are on the floor and step back to downward facing dog. Treading or just stillness, take 3 breaths. You can stay longer in your down dog or brace your core and shift forward to plank. Think of a plank, you're one nice straight line from the heels to the back of your head. So don't hang your head down, don't stick your butt up. Sacrum is heavy in the body and brace your core. So you're in this plank. Now, how little do you have to move in order to bend your right knee into your chest in plank? Meaning don't stick your butt up or shift your chest back. Right knee to chest, and you can certainly just be in plank. Let's switch, left knee to chest. You're still in that plank here. Shoulders over wrists. Good, step it back to plank pose, strong core. Inhale into the chest. Exhale, lower your knees and lower all the way flat to the ground. Either turning sideways or staying on the belly, grab your right ankle behind you, just open your hands, your quads for a moment. And remember, as you're holding that right ankle behind you now, you don't want your sacrum to pop up. Squeeze your right glute and press your front right hip toward the floor. One more. All right, switch. Good. Release both legs. You're flat on your belly right now. Wiggle your hips side to side to just get nice and loose in the hips and low back here. And now to stillness, shoulders, hips square to the floor. Place your hands next to your chest for cobra. Fire up your legs. The forehead or chin are still on the mat. And now as you inhale, just peel your head and some of the chest off the ground. Imagine the lower tips of your shoulder blades and just draw them down the back without squeezing them together. So keep your upper back open, but draw those shoulder blades down. Feel your calves, your hamstrings, your glutes, and low back work here for one more inhale. And surrender to the floor. Exhale. Press back to child's pose. In turn, if you want a much stronger practice, just do a vinyasa here instead of child's pose. Otherwise, one more breath. Sink the hips back to the heels. And we come back to all fours now. Good. Let's do the whole thing from the other side. Step your left foot forward. Hands frame that foot. Let's tuck the back toes under, lift that right knee and find that long runner's lunge. So your gaze is to the floor, your neck is neutral. And on your next inhale, sweep your left arm to the ceiling. So just your chest, not your hips, they don't turn. Just your chest turns open to the left. Expand your wings and breathe. Remember, the right front hip is very light. Don't dump into it. All right, release your hands down and step your back foot forward. There we are in standing forward bend again. One more breath, maybe press the knees back, lift your sitting bones higher, and sink your chest a bit lower. Good. Now this time, rather than rolling up, place your hands onto your shins. So you're in a forward bend, hands on the shins. Now slightly press into the shins so you can look up, lengthen. Imagine from your tailbone to your crown, you're a long line, so even your shoulders don't stoop forward, roll them back. Brace your belly, and now finish it. Arms out to the sides and sweep, reverse swan dive, come to standing. Inhale, hands to heart center, exhale. Good, so here we are in standing. Have the whole mat behind you, so you're facing the small edge of your mat, right? So you're in the front of your mat. Mountain pose, one more breath, find your center here. Go inside. And let's come right to tree pose. Left foot steps to the right inner thigh. Walk that heel as high up as you can. Hands can still be at the heart or come back to the heart. Imagine around your belly button, there's an area that's your center of gravity, your body center. And to get more balance, shift that center over your right leg. So center your personal center over the right foot and leg. Keep steady, raise your arms, gaze at the floor into the room. Good, take your hands back at the heart. Hinge that left knee forward. Now, as you start bending your chest forward a little, step your left foot back to warrior one. So we're in warrior one, right leg forward, left leg back. Don't tax your left inner knees. You want to think of drawing the outer left foot, the edge, in toward the mat. Sweep the arms up now. Super strong inner thighs, drawing into that midline a little. And now swing your left arm under the right. We're going to go right to eagle arms. So generally our arms are kind of just dropped to the chest. So I want you to press your elbows into each other and lift them a little higher so the elbows are at least shoulder width here. You can gaze up or gaze into the room. Breathe into the back of the lungs now. We're trying to stretch the muscles between your shoulder blades. Good. All right. Release your hands to the hips. So we're in warrior one, hands at the hips. Now straighten your front leg. Some of you have to shorten the stance a little. I want you to clasp your hands behind your back with two straight legs. Stretch back. Firm both thighs. Good. Look forward, neutral spine. Now bend your front knee again and fold in a little bit to the left of that front foot. Lunge deeply into the front leg and drop your forehead down. If you have to strengthen, if you have no shoulder issues, right, then drive your wrists toward the ceiling a little. Good job. Lift your head, brace your core, come back up to standing, hands to your hips. Now turn sideways. So now you're facing the long side of your mat with a wide stance. Good. Hands to the back of your pelvis, like someone's drawing your elbows together. Inhale, stretch out. Exhale, lean your chest way forward and fold in. Wide-legged forward bend. Hands can come to the floor or the ankles. Take 5 breaths. And play around again. If you're only standing on your heels, meaning your hips are probably behind your ankles, shift your hips right on top of the ankles into that same plane and firm your quads more. Good. Hands back at the hips. Keep the weight in the center of your feet, not just the heels. For more work, lift the chest and with the longest spine you can, come back up to standing. Beautiful. And step your left foot to the right. So we're facing the front of the mat again, mountain pose. Arms to the sides this time. Good. Let's set up tree pose. Coming into the left leg is your standing leg. Right foot or heel as high on the left inner thigh as possible. Hands at the heart. Find your breathing. That's your steadiness here and your intention. You want to raise your arms. Go ahead. Hands at heart center, then to the hips. And step that right foot back into warrior one. Left foot forward, right foot back. We're in warrior one and raise your arms up. Think of lifting up through your bicep muscles, right? The current muscle in the front of your upper arm. Lift up through there and sink your shoulder blades down the back. Good. Inhale. Now sweep your right arm under the left. Unless you did that side to the other side, you kind of feel which side is tighter. And lift your elbows high. Still in warrior one, left leg forward, elbows high. And take 3-4 breaths into the back of your ribs. Using somewhat core engagement for the exhale to really brace. All right, release your hands behind you into a clasp, straighten your front leg, foot adjustment if you need. And let's inhale, 2 straight legs, stretch your chest up. Think of your collarbones being super broad here. Now breathing in the front of your ribs and into the chest, one more. If you're still okay with your shoulders, keep the clasp. Look forward and lunge into that front leg. So left leg bends deeply into warrior one and fold forward to the right side of that knee. If you feel like your belly is just hanging there without engagement, just brace it a little. Doesn't mean you hollow it out, just brace it. Let go of the neck, Let go of your thoughts. One more breath, being connected. Good, and let's come back up to standing. Hands to your hips and turn sideways again. Wide stance, 2 feet parallel with each other. Good, this time we're going to go right into triangle. Turn your right foot open a 90 degree. Turn your left heel slightly backward and stretch your arms out. Good. Take a moment to shift and drop your weight to the left foot. And like someone's pulling you on the right arm, reach forward, long right waist, and down into triangle pose. Imagine that wall behind you, so your butt is leaning against the wall, and you're trying to lean your shoulder blades back toward that wall also. Imagine also the top of your right thigh, just if you can access this today. Top of right thigh rolls to the right. It spins outward. 2 more breaths. Good. Brace your core. Engage your legs more to come up. Keep the arms out, and let's just go to the other side. Left foot turns open, right heel back. Drop the weight to the right foot and reach beyond your left foot and down into triangle pose. Remember all the cues and just breathe. Allow your right waist to unwind, maybe your left thigh and inner thigh to unwind. All right, let's come back up. Come back to that neutral position, and at this point, choose if you want to have your block for half moon pose, or choose if you want to be near a wall with or without the block for your half moon pose. But we're going to go back to the right. Hold the block in your right hand, right foot turns open, and this time lean your chest forward, place the block on the floor. Your left foot at this point should be off the ground, and then spread your arms into a T shape, and your legs almost like a flying triangle. So your right leg is your standing leg, but your left leg is pressed perpendicular or parallel to the floor in a straight manner, out through the heel. Now looking down at the floor is the easiest way. And if you still wobbly, move your block to the right a little. But if you want to really challenge yourself, gain that body awareness, feel your body, be still, and just turn your gaze up to the left hand. Embrace that wobbling if you're doing this. Good. When you're done, look to the floor, bring that block with you, and come back to neutral. Other side, same thing. I'll let you do it. Try to do about 5 breaths once you're fully set up in the pose. All right, once you're back in standing, let's keep that wide stance or go back to that wide stance. We're going to have one more thing here. Wide stance, right foot turns open, warrior 2. Right knee bends deeply, left inner thigh engages. Good. In your warrior, turn your palms side open toward the screen, and then lower the right hand down to the inner ankle. If you want to use the block, put the hand flat on the block to the inside of the ankle, left arm up. Connect to your outer right hip. And just see if you can draw that back toward your back heel, just a tiny bit. 2 more breaths. Press up again, and let's go to the other side. Warrior two, left knee bends, arms super strong, wrists are straight. Turn your palms to me and then lower your left hand down to the block or toward the inner ankle. Same thing with that left hip. Remember, draw it to the right heel. Good. Press back up to standing. Final pose here in standing. Turn your feet parallel, super wide stance. Stretch back, inhale, and fold forward, exhale. And this time, if you want to do some variations, I'll give you two. One, you can lunge side to side a few times. Two, both hands come over to the right ankle. And both hands over to the left ankle. Good, everything back to center. And so you're in that standing wide-legged pose. If accessible from this position, I want you to go right to lizard. So what you do, you walk your hands over to the right, so your whole body pivots to the right, and you're in lizard, meaning your right foot is on the outside of the edge of the right mat, and your hands are on the inside of the knee. Left leg is, of course, behind you. So think of a lunge, but very exaggerated because your feet are much wider. If you want to put your forearms on the block, good. Carefully go back to down dog or child's pose. Those of you who want to do a vinyasa, you go from down dog to plank, from plank to low push-up, from there to up dog. You can do this much slower, and back to down dog. Take one more breath where you are. And now step your left foot forward into lizard. All right, good job. Let's come back. Move it quickly to a down dog. Good. From down dog, let's lower to our knees. So we're back on all fours. And you can tuck in your toes here, and we'll come into a camel pose. So if camel doesn't work for you, you can just sit back to your heels. Watch your knees. Maybe all of this won't work for you. Put your hands behind you and begin to lift your hips. Otherwise, you're in this position, you're standing on your knees, hands to the low back. And that's when you drop your tailbone and stretch back into camel. If you're afraid to drop your head back and open your throat, keep your chin tucked, but feel those collarbones broaden. Back of the heart is very open now. Try to get in one more breath. Unless this is not a hard pose for you, then maybe stay a little longer. Enjoy that open spine. And of course, the core stretch, you should stretch your belly here too. Good. Now look forward, brace your stomach muscles and press into the shins. Come back to neutral, back to all fours, and very, very slowly round your spine. If this hurts your low back, go to child's pose and don't move for a moment. All right, neutral spine. Some of you will lay on the belly and do work the quads that way. Others will come into full hero pose. I'll face you. So just sit on the block between your ankles, feet tucked next to your hips. Okay, so from here, either you can lie back or lean back at least. And some of you have a bolster, I know. Option 2, we'll do that together after. Just do your back bend or just your quad stretch right now. Remember, it's not okay to lie all the way back, but your knees are airborne. You want to keep your shins on the ground and then lean back, maybe tuck your hips down and forward. One thing you could do if this is not a very hard pose for you, challenge yourself. Walk your knees together, squeeze your inner thighs gently together, and do the pose that way. Couple more. All right, when you're done, carefully come out of this. Yet another down dog if you want. You know you don't have to. This is a great alternative. If you just compress the back of your knees, you can just be on all fours, tuck one foot under and just press your body weight back. Feels actually really good on the calf. So you're here or in down dog. If you do what I'm doing, just do switch sides now. All right, now coming into, if you're doing a vinyasa, after that, coming into your pigeon, right leg comes forward. Just surrender. As you're here in pigeon, maybe you feel a lot of tightness in your left hip. If you don't dare to bring that right hip into, or right leg rather, into a more 90-degree angle versus having your heel tucked towards your groin. Imagine that each exhale softens that right hip. Maybe visualize it melting and opening. Think of all the things you're doing in your activities to tighten up this muscle group. So be patient and give it some time to open. Those of you who want to stretch the quads one more time, lift the torso, reach back and grab that back ankle, still in pigeon. If this becomes a little too much, it does some days, just put the block under your right hip. Good, release, down dog, vinyasa, whatever you want to do, and we'll meet in pigeon on the other leg. Same thing here, patiently allow your left hip to open now. Notice the rhythm of your breathing. We can't do both. We can't follow a train of thought back into nowhere and focus on our breathing. So again, do that breathing that promotes calm and peace in your body and mind. For those of you who want to stretch the quads one more time, reach back, grab that back ankle. Good, and when you're ready to release, easy, go back to child's pose or stretch like I showed before from all fours. If you want to add on side plank, go to downward dog one more time. Good. In down dog for easier side plank, keep your feet hip width. For harder, step your legs and inner thighs together. Now make sure your right hand is under your shoulder. So I don't want your right hand way in front of your shoulder. Shoulder over right wrist. Rotate your hips to the right and extend your left arm up into side plank. Again, if you feel like this is really hard to balance, you have two options. Step your feet wider apart, or turn your hips open, but keep your left fingertips on the floor so you start working on your side body strength without just losing control completely and falling over. Good. If you're still there, eventually come back to plank or down dog. Make sure your hips don't sag in plank. And then go to side plank, other side. Right arm to the ceiling. You're standing on the outer left foot now. And don't be afraid to use your legs. So those are the big muscles, not your left hand and shoulder, right? So firm your quads, firm your core band here, your corset. Body stiffness for some of these poses. Good release, and everyone, please, child's pose, surrender and let go. Going from heart, right, from effort and breathing and engaging, go to soft. So let go in child's pose. Allow the face to become friendly and calm. In your child's pose, take one more deep breath into all the parts of your body. Excellent. All right, let's move on to a seated position here. Extend your legs out in front of you. Take them out for a moment. And now separate the feet to definitely wider than your mat. Left foot to right inner thigh. Arms sweep up, inhale. Turn your chest to the right foot and fold in. Good. Raise your core, arms reach up and come back to center. Good. Now keep this leg position here and release your hands down. Right hand to left knee, right? Right hand to left knee or thigh, whatever you can reach. Left arm rises up to the ceiling, and then side bend the torso to the right, but keep holding on to that left thigh. Imagine your left waist and your left ribs are fanning open. So this is not how far you can go down to the right, but how much can you extend up through your left side? Good job. Come back out. And switch leg positions again. So left leg is straight, right heel in, arms sweep up on your next inhale. Turn your chest to the left foot and fold in. If you feel like your back is really rounded, your upper back, it probably is. So imagine pulling the chest forward toward the left foot a tiny bit more. Good job. Arms up, come back to seated. Release your hands down. And other side now, left hand to right knee or thigh. Right arm sweeps up and over. So you're really stretching that right side open. We're all different. You might have to slightly adjust where your left hand is on the right leg. But the point is, again, you're really stretching that right side body open, sending your breath into your right lung. Good. And back up to seated. Extend both legs out wide. Please sit on your prop, on your block if you need, and fold forward, hands in front of you or hands on the ankles. Good. Let's come up. Let's bring the feet in. Hook onto your big toes with the, if you do the peace sign with the index and middle finger, wrap those around the big toe, close up with the thumb. Now lean back a little. Make sure your chest is lifted so your bra line is nice and open. And lift your heels off the ground and stretch your legs out to the sides. Bend knees or straight legs, but balancing on your butt using your core. As you're here, try to check in with your breathing. All right, carefully step your feet back down, step them together on the floor for the butterfly pose. Maybe just drop your knees down a few times, so just kind of up and down, up and down. Your choice, slide your feet forward more and fold in, or bring your heels really close to your groin and then fold in. Good. Let us come up to seated. Extend your legs forward. You can do this with bent knees too. Final, excuse me, we're going to do final seated twist here. Step right foot across your left knee and twist to the right. Like I said, your left leg doesn't have to be straight. You can bend it in toward your right hip. Twist to the right. Look over the right shoulder. Trying to twist more on the exhale. Twisting at shoulder and rib cage level. Don't put your attention to your low back and crank your low back. Great. Unwind, switch sides. Step your left foot across your right thigh and twist to the left. Work with your breathing. 2 more. Good. Unwind. Extend your legs forward. Shake them up for a moment. Optimal blood flow here. Good. Final forward bend. Feel free to grab your belt here, put it around the feet, or just lift up, lengthen your side body, and fold forward. Listen to about 3-4 breaths here. Good job. And let's lie on the back. I can tell you what's next. You can roll right into shoulder stand, or you can pause lying on the back for a moment, depending on how active your practice is today. Just breathe. If you're in shoulder stand, remember to walk your elbows underneath your legs so they don't flare out. The more they flare out, the more the chance that you're standing on your neck there. So bring the shoulder blades in, the elbows in, so your upper back is firm and your upper arms are carrying the weight. Now, if you want to do partial shoulder stand, you know how you lie on the back, bum on your block and legs up in the air. You all know the variations by now. Just play maybe 20, 30 seconds here. Good, and when you're ready, slowly roll out of the pose, either into Shavasana for a breath or two, or set up right fish pose from here. Lock underneath your bra line, or elbows are on the ground. Your chest really broad, breathe underneath your collarbones and fish. And then carefully lie onto the floor flat, no blocks now. Once you're flat, rotate your head gently side to side. Good. Head to center with your legs straight here. We'll do a final lying down twist. So step your right foot on top of your left thigh, left leg straight. Look to the right arm to the right, and on an exhale, draw the right knee across your body. So it sounds much harder than it is. Just in other words, draw your right knee across the body to the left, so your lower body twists left and your gaze turns right. Final deep breath. Really fill up your lungs on the inhale. Let go of any remaining stress or tension on the exhale. Come back to neutral and straighten both legs. Other side, left knee draws across the body to the right. Turn your gaze left. If at all possible, keep your left arm and shoulder flat on the floor. All right, coming back to center. And if you want, finish with any final pose that you want. Happy baby pose is one. Drawing your knees in and rocking over the sacrum is another one. Good, and then we'll go into a Shavasana. Another pose, the pose of no effort. So let's lie on the back, palms open. And once more, take several deep breaths, promoting calm and peace in your body and mind. Remember, we're all on this journey, all together and all on our own little journey at the same time. So let it be okay that there's always, if you will, open tabs or unfinished things. Our job is to be able to find those little moments like right now, to just let go, be present, and dropping into a state where we don't need anything right now. So try to go there. Good. Deepen your next breath. Begin to wiggle your fingers and toes. On an inhale, raise your arms overhead. Release your hands down, bend your knees in. And roll to one side. Come to seated position, taking your hands at the heart. Go back to just dropping into that presence. Namaste.